Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin, Friday, September 4th, around 10 a.m. Out walking the big guy, 2015, and I am quite literally at a crossroads. The release of Pipulate is imminent. It's passing all its tests. I've got a little bit of bulletproofing left to do. But beyond that, it's just a matter of throwing servers at it. And I found this new service called Wable that for just over $100 a month, you get 18 of the sort of tiny servers I need for Pipulate. So the story here is, I haven't talked about it much, but Pipulate is programmed as a single tenant web server application. It's a very rare thing. I am not using the web server as a web server for everyone who hits the site. I'm using it as a component of an application the same way you would use, say, an embedded SQLite in an application. So my Pipulate application, which happens to need the web to run, also needs a web server for its own application, if you can follow that. It's a little bit odd to think about, but once you get Pipulating, that server is yours. You have to deal with a lot of flaky APIs out there. And unlike systems that go out and collect their data on some sort of scheduled basis, isolating you from all the errors that occur when systems try and talk to each other, and then serving up the data later after it's sort of been distilled and organized in an intermediary service, with Pipulate, you just hit the APIs directly and watch it pull back the data as you wait. And as the data gets pulled back, pop, 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 it appears in a spreadsheet. When it fails, it doesn't appear in the spreadsheet, and I give you messages. It took a long time to get to that point, and I explored things like making it multi-tenant, and it turns out that due to the requirements of the application, I am actually following what the use of the product is trying to tell me. I said, no, give entire dedicated use of that, web server, which is really just Python running Flask and, having access to, ports over TCP/IP. And so now that I'm releasing Pipulate, it's up to me to have an instance of it in an obvious location like pipulate.com, but I need lots of little servers behind a load balancer, so everyone who hits it gets their own dedicated server for the duration of them doing their thing, and then it gets released to someone else when they're done. And Wable appears to be the way to do that. I tested it yesterday. The servers are still behind the Rackspace load balancer, because that appears to be the best way to manage my Wable servers for now, until I set up my own load balancer on one of the Wable nodes. So there's a lot of interesting work to come, but the crossroads is here. When I launch this thing, it's going to appeal to a whole bunch of audiences, and I'm going to start to figure out who my audience really is. And I'll try to listen to the replies I get to help me guide what direction I go with it. But this is just as readily a tool for the high-end stuff. I can use this to help me get better and better jobs at higher and higher rates in this New York marketplace. Or I can use it as... Oh, thank you. Dog was tracking some birds. Thank you very much. Or I can use this to sort of help the masses and embrace the free and open sourciness that it was sort of born in. But that does not go to my bottom line, and then I'm faced with that whole problem of, how do you get the fruit of your labors? And so I'm thinking about Patreon, and I'm thinking about staying exactly in the situation I am with Pipulate, where I have a great deal of freedom with a team that really has to accommodate a fairly large amount of work coming its way. And Pipulate is the ideal key to do that. However, that's not going to be enough. I'm actually going to need to make Pipulate generate a little bit of secondary income. So this is kind of like a heads up. So what you're going to see coming is me incorporating into Pipulate some way that it asks for support. Probably Patreon. I'll probably embed some sort of buttons directly into the Pipulate user interface so that you never have to use them, but you will always have to look at them. And that'll be essentially the price of using the product. Otherwise, I do need to look for other ways to make it happen. I'm thinking with these studies that courseware accommodates for $50 billion, accounts for $50 billion of revenue a year. Surely I can figure out how to take Linux, Pipulate, all this stuff I do with Linux, Python, Vim, and Git, and turn it into a course that I dole out, you know, using sort of like one of those drip marketing methods, and start generating a little bit of my own income just based on teaching people how to do this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what's on my mind as I sit down to do my coding this morning. Hopefully bring back the talking head videos. I really want to do the coding, you know, videos that started out that I think was of the most interest, but these are the easiest to do. This is just pure idea capture as I'm out walking the dog anyway, so that's what I'm doing. So thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.